Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. The international break is finally over, and that means club football returns this weekend as we enter the final length, the final furlong, the final run-in, shall we say, of the season. It is now the proper business end where teams in the relegation zone start to feel that hot water bubbling from the fear of relegation. Teams that are battling for top four really start to take shape and start to see who will be in next season's Champions League and European football places just in general. And of course, the Premier League title charge reaches the final furlong, the final conclusion. And it's going to be a very intriguing one at that. But before we go into all the games that are coming up at this stage of the season, in this weekend's upcoming Premier League fixtures, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into the predictions. Alright, kicking things off with a game that's going to get the Premier League back underway. It is the 12:30 game. It is the lunchtime game on the Saturday. We are at Anfield for Liverpool taking on Watford. A massive game and prospect for the Reds, who of course with 3 points in this game could go top of the table and put some real pressure on Manchester City before they of course play later that day. With it being at Anfield, with obviously Liverpool getting their big name players back, I think obviously you're looking at like Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane having points to prove after what happened in midweek in their game for the World Cup qualifiers. You look at obviously Luis Diaz coming back. You look at Firmino back on track, fitness-wise. Diego Jota back among the goals. You look at the midfield back on track with their injuries. You look at Andy Robertson in form. You look at Virgil van Dijk, Joel Matip in absolutely brick wall, massive colossus kind of form. I don't really see how Watford can win this game, in all honesty. I genuinely think that this is a 3 points to Liverpool. But of course, like I always say and always will state, don't take your eye off this game. It could be a potential banana skin. But I don't think Liverpool should be having many problems, especially when you consider that it is at Anfield as well. I think Liverpool will wrap up with 3 points here, go top of the table for at least a couple of hours before City beat Burnley. As far as the prediction goes, I'm going to go for a 3-1 Liverpool win. I think it'll be a comfortable 3-1 win for the Reds, and they will, like I say, go top of the table for a couple of hours. The first of our 3 o'clock games sees Brighton host Norwich at the Amex Stadium. Intriguing game, this one, between two sides whose form in recent games has been utterly dreadful. Brighton have lost their last 6 games, whilst Norwich have also lost their last 6 games at the very least as well. Both sides going very poor. The wheels have come off Brighton's season a little bit, whilst Norwich are of course sat rock bottom of the table. So it is basically a game against the most, or the least informed teams in the Premier League, shall we say. Both have been dreadful in recent games. Brighton, you would imagine, are safe, so it doesn't affect them too much, but Norwich really need to start getting points on the board if they are to mount some sort of survival bid for the final run-in of the season. Big game. A Brighton win should be on the cards. It should be the likely result, but I think that Norwich may just about battle to a point in this game, and that is why I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw come the final whistle. Next up, Burnley host Manchester City at Turf Moor. Of course, by the time that this game rolls around, Manchester City could actually be off the top spot if Liverpool managed to win their game, of course, as I mentioned earlier. Just seems a bit convenient, doesn't it, that when City are in need of a safe 3 points, Burnley suddenly turn up, because it seems that every time that happens, Manchester City tend to pick up a very comfortable 3 points against Burnley. It's happened time and time again. They always seem to beat Burnley by 3, 4, 5 goals to nil, and I would expect nothing to change in this game. Burnley are battling relegation. It is at Turf Moor, so maybe it gives them a bit more of maybe a chance at maybe pulling off a surprise. Maybe the stars align. Maybe City feel the pressure of Liverpool, and maybe this is a banana skin for them. But let's face it, that is very unlikely to happen. It is very much likely that Pep Guardiola's side go on to win this game, as they usually tend to do, and that is why I'm going to go for a 3-0 City victory. Next up, Brentford travel away to face Chelsea. Intriguing game again, this one. You've got Chelsea, who are battling to remain in the top 4. You've got Brentford, who are just battling to see how far they can get in their debut season in the Premier League. They should be safe now, you reckon, but of course it's not mathematically impossible that they could be dragged into the relegation race in a few games' time. You know that Brentford will battle for everything. You know that Chelsea will be basically Chelsea, and you know how they'll approach the game. You know that they'll obviously want to put on a good display with everything that's been happening to them in the past few weeks or so. So it's going to be intriguing, that one, to see if off the field issues have any effect on them on the pitch. Brentford could take advantage of that, but overall I'm not pulling for any kind of surprise or shock here. I'm going to go for a Chelsea win and say that they come out of this as 2-1 winners. Next up, we're at Ellen Road for Leeds, clashing with the Saints of Southampton. Big game. Again, it might be a game that goes a bit under the radar because it's not exactly a big name game for all involved. I think that obviously Leeds are still not completely safe from relegation, of course, so that's going to be a big challenge for them. Southampton going strong, fell off a little bit in the past few games, but overall I think that they are still going strong overall, pretty safe of course. So they've got no real need to worry right now. But it will be interesting for Leeds. They picked up their first win under their new manager in their last game. I just wonder if maybe they can make it back-to-back wins in this one. Intriguing. I'm leaning more towards a Saints win, but I think I might just pull it back for a draw. I think maybe a draw could be the case here, and that's why I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw come the final whistle. Our West Midlands derby is our next game of focus here at Molineux, as Wolves take on Aston Villa. Big and intriguing game, this one, of course. You've got Wolves, who are still battling to stay within European football places and have a very, very good season, all things considered, for Bruno Lage in his debut season in the Premier League. Whilst you've got a battling Aston Villa side who have gone well under Steven Gerrard since his arrival at Villa Park, with, of course, 1 or 2 hiccups along the way, but they are battling for progression, battling to build a platform in which to base their future seasons off under the young England manager. Big game, intriguing game, like I say, it always is when it's a derby. We all know that, and we all know that it's going to be a very intriguing game of football between two sides who have gone strong this season. Both have very good players at their disposal. You look at the creativity and the flair of the likes of Philip Coutinho, Emi Buendia, and of course setting up the likes of Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins for Villa. You look at the likes of Wolves with Moutinho and Neves in the midfield, battling strong in there as well. You've got the likes of Pedence, Hwang Hee-chan and Raul Jimenez at their disposal. Going to be a very intriguing game. Going to be a very, very, very good game. I think a very underrated game as well. Maybe something that maybe gets a bit overlooked by some of the other games that are happening this weekend. My personal opinion is that this game will end in a draw. Either side could go on and nick it, but I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to say that this game will end 2-2 come the final whistle. Saturday night's game will see Manchester United host Leicester City at Old Trafford. Two sides who, of course, had a lot of promise and a lot of expectation going into this season with, but both sides have not quite lived up to that expectation or promise, have they? Both sides have been pretty underwhelming. Both sides have been pretty poor, in all honesty, throughout the course of the season. United were expected to be challenging for the title at this point in the season, but now they are battling for top 4. Somehow they are still in a top 4 race, whilst Leicester were expected to break into that top 4. having been on the verge of doing so for previous years, but of course sit in mid-table. This game, you're probably expecting United to go into it as favourites. They have the squad, they have the match winners available to them. Don't rule out Leicester completely, because as we know, Leicester have already beaten United at this point this season already. And they do obviously have players that can hurt United. But with the way that they are, you'd probably expect United to maybe go for the win here, get the 3 points and put pressure on Arsenal ahead of their game on Monday night. But with it being these sides being so unpredictable, I'm going to have to say a draw here, and that's why I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw come the final whistle. Next up, we're looking at West Ham taking on Everton at the London Stadium. Big game this one, because both sides are obviously still in line to challenge for various things in the league. You've got West Ham, who are still not out of the top 4 race. That race is very much still on for them and still a possibility for them. Whilst Everton, of course, are battling the relegation zone, the relegation battle, but did pick up 3 extremely valuable points last time out with a win for them. But of course, this game, with both teams battling for something this season, represents a massive game in prospect. I just think that West Ham may have a bit more in the final third than what Everton do, and I think with Everton's defence, I think the likes of Jared Bowen and Mikel Antonio in particular, and of course Said Benrahma and other players that they have at their disposal, if they are fit and firing and ready to go, will be terrifying for the Everton defence to handle. That is why I'm going to go for a West Ham win, and that's why I'm going to say that this game will end 2-1 to the Hammers. Our penultimate game on this list sees Tottenham take on Newcastle at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday afternoon. Spurs, of course, hit and miss along the way. Still in contention to finish in the top 4, and I think even some Spurs fans are still backing them to do so under Antonio Conte. But it's going to be very difficult, and especially against a Newcastle side that were in good form until, of course, the last game before the international break halted all that. But Newcastle have gone strong, and they've really battled their way out of the relegation zone and that relegation battle. It's just about maintaining that position now in order to see themselves across the line for the season. Of course, money has helped, but full credit to Eddie Howe, who's come into a side that was like that, changed it quickly again to suit the needs and the wants of that team at that time, and has done it very well. As far as this game goes, yes, Spurs are probably likely to win, but I'm going to actually go for a draw here. I think Spurs can spoil Spurs' top 4 charge, and I believe that this game will end 1-1 come the final whistle. And finally, we jump ahead to Monday night's game, which I believe to be the biggest game of this round of fixtures in some ways, and probably the main event because it's on the Monday night's game. It is Crystal Palace hosting Arsenal at Selhurst Park, and of course the narrative here is that former Arsenal player Patrick Vieira is the manager of Crystal Palace, of course, and he welcomes his former side to his new side's home ground of Selhurst Park. Big game this one, intriguing one. We of course know that Palace have been very good this season. They've been strong, they've been difficult to beat, and all credit to Patrick Vieira for that. He's changed this Crystal Palace side a lot from what they were in previous seasons gone by, and he's done wonders there, to say that it's happening in such a short space of time, bringing through some young, youthful prospects in the side, and doing very well to make them a very difficult side to play against. And of course they welcome a Arsenal side who are challenging for top 4. They hold all the cards in the top 4 race right now. They hold the position, they hold the games in hand. They are pretty much there. They just need to see it over the line. Many people are actually backing Arsenal to bottle this. And of course against Crystal Palace it could be a massive game, this one, for Arsenal, in which that could happen. It's a big game. It's an intriguing one because you don't really know what Arsenal side's going to turn up. Could it be a bottling side? Could it be the side that we've seen in weeks gone by that's played very well and actually gone on to do the job when many people thought they wouldn't, especially against Aston Villa before the international break? I'm backing the Arsenal side to come out of this one as winners in this game. I think they will be victorious. I think they just might have just enough to get them past this Crystal Palace side. I'm going to go 2-1 to the Gunners. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of all the upcoming Premier League games of this upcoming weekend? Fantasy football managers, who are you taking out of your squad? Who are you putting into your squad? Who do you see having a good week, a bad week? So on and so forth. I'd love to know your thoughts and predictions in regards to fantasy football. But most of all, of course, this is about your predictions of all the games that are coming up this weekend in the Premier League. I'd love to know your predictions on them all down below in the comment section, because I'm sure it'll make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always and probably greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League prediction show, and I will see you all again soon in another video.